and the tokens will move from the DAOs to the withdraw DAO. And the withdraw DAO will release the ethers to the DAO token holder. So you can see that happening here. 878 tokens will move from, so that's the token holder, ACC8, move to BF4E, and that's the DAO withdrawal contract. And the DAO withdrawal contract then transfers 8.786666 ethers to the original DAO token holder. And it is a very simple bit of code for the withdrawal. "21 lines, isn't that great? 21 lines to get a refund. So here is the withdraw function, and it does the transfer of the amounts, and then it sends back the amount, the balance. So it sends back the ethers after transferring the tokens. One line of code to get your refund. That was the main DAO refund, and then there's an extra balance refund, and it's at this address. So this was created by a guy called Ledger Watch, and it is 29 lines of code to get your extra balance refund. Again, it's the same. Transfer the tokens and you get your equivalent ethers. So the DAO had 16 decimal places. Your ethers have got 18 decimal places, but 1 ether is equal to 100 DAO tokens. But 18, 16, so it ends up being the same in terms of the natural numbers. So if you have 1 with 18 zeros, that's 1 ether, and it's also the same as 100 DAO tokens. And that's why they could do this with a simple line with no multiplications or anything. Any questions so far? So out of all that, there was a lot of positive things that happened in the Ethereum ecosystem. You can look up the Ethereum best practices. It's a long document. Solidity security tips, known attacks, gas-related attacks, overflow, underflow. So the DAO would be one of the most studied bits of source code around. And this is a good page if you are interested in, if you're going to do any Solidity development. It will tell you things like if you're going to allow people to withdraw funds from a smart contract, then you want to use certain calls. So there's a call.value, and that's where you can do a lot of damage. An attacker can do a lot of damage. If you use the account.send or account.transfer, that's more limited in what an attacker could potentially do. So there's a transfer. So these are the different methods of withdrawing, of transferring ethers. So transfers like send except the transfer will throw an error if there's a problem. With send, it will return a boolean true or false, and if if there's an error, then it will be false, and so you've got to do something. You've got to throw a transaction or somehow handle it. Call.value is something that you want to use very carefully. So the main use for call.value nowadays is the multi-sigs. It's a very general purpose call where all the gas is passed through. With the transfer and the send, there's a limited number of gas. So if there was a attacking contract at the end of the transfer or send, it can't do much. It could log an event, it could do a bit of calculation, but that's about it. So have a look at this. And then out of the DAO hacks, you now have a new industry of auditing. And I've got to do a lot of it. I don't like doing it. It's highish risk in that if you make some mistakes, if you don't check the code properly, then there could be problems with one of these ICOs. And I'm waiting for the ICO where it collects 20 million US dollars and everyone's feeling happy. And then they try to withdraw the ethers and they find, whoops, the permission is wrong. The ethers, $20 million of ethers, could be stuck in the contract forever. That would be frightening. So when you go through and try auditing the smart contracts for crowd sales, my preference is for the ethers to just pass through the crowd sale contract and just go into multi-sig wallet or some other account. So out of the crowd sale, and then you know your ethers are safe.
All right.
So token contracts can easily be rebuilt. At the crowd sale, there's no transfers to exchanges or to different accounts. So it's easy to rebuild it just after the crowd sale if there's a problem. But if the ethers are stolen, it's hard to get it back. Impossible. So yes, I've got to talk to Johnny about this, whether the Gaze Coin crowd sale will have any refunds available. Because if there's refunds, so if it doesn't reach the minimum amount, then you want to hold the funds there so a refund can be given back to the investors. But to have that refund facility, you need to hold the ethers in the crowd sale contract. So whenever I audit any crowd sales and they say no refunds, because we've collected in a pre-sale sufficient to start the project, and then I'll tell them move the funds out immediately into a multi-sig, and then your risk goes from small to very small.